And two is better than one. So imagine what we could be collectively. The more, the better, respectively. Large groups could change this nation's trajectory. Welcome back, everybody, to the Poetically Correct channel. You already know me, AaronRThePoet, and I have a very, very special guest, Elizabeth, who's a psychologist, an educator, a life coach, and most importantly, a mother who's here with us today. So welcome, Elizabeth. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm wonderful. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk.
Yeah, great. Me too. So I know, just to go ahead and get right into things, you're like the founder of Posa, right?
I am.
So tell us about Posa, what it means, how you came up with it.
Sure. So the literal definition, posa is short for mariposa, which is the Spanish word for butterfly. And butterflies are a symbol of growth, transformation, freedom, evolution. And so Posa coaching is a coaching practice that I founded to really help people go through their own growth and development journeys. So I coach people on personal and professional transitions, navigating relationships, and Posa is a space to help people to evolve. We've all in life had our caterpillar moments and our butterfly moments, and sometimes we're going back and forth between those two in different phases. But ultimately the goal is that we're all continuing to evolve at all times, and I created Posa as a space to help people do that. So that's how I came up with the name.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I like that too, because the whole caterpillar butterfly thing, yeah, we do go through those moments for sure. Then,
Yeah,
like you said, sometimes you think you're the butterfly and something happens and it's like, nope.
you're right back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm guessing too, because tell us how the psychology part came into this, because you are a psychologist. So how did you end up, like, how did these things blend together or branch from each other, if they even did?
Yeah, they definitely did. So my career journey was interesting. I started actually as a school psychologist working with adolescents and young adults, doing direct service therapy work, counseling, individual and group counseling, behavior management, some special education stuff in schools. And throughout my career, have had a variety of what I'll call direct service versus indirect service roles. So either working directly with young people and their families, or doing more like coaching and consultation with educators and school leaders around systems and intervention and structure. And so as my career has evolved, I've moved away from direct service with young people, at least in the education sphere, doing more like strategy and policy work. And I really missed the human aspect of it, honestly. Like, I really miss connecting with people. I feel like that is my truest calling. It's my most optimal means to serve. And so I like my 9 to 5, and I really like the strategy and the policy stuff, but I also really wanted to create a space to get back to doing direct work with people. And the reason that I chose the coaching path versus like getting, clinical licensure or doing counseling is because I feel like I saw a gap in service where, there's a lot of people. One of the best things that I think came out of the pandemic was this realization and appreciation for caring for ourselves, prioritizing our dreams, our health, our well-being.
Right.
But sometimes people don't know where to turn or how to do that. And therapy is a great outlet. I've been to therapy multiple times myself, and I am a firm supporter of it. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think it's the only tool in the toolbox. And I think that there are people for whom they're not necessarily, dealing with therapeutic issues, but they need support. And
Right.
so I wanted to create Post as a place to give everyday people access in real time to support. And it's kind of a blending of some of that direct service work that I've done in my career, but also some of the more like big picture planning and decision making that I've done in more the strategy roles. Now I'm just kind of redirecting it back to a path that feels right.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And good points too. So now, like, who is your target audience, or who do you try to like reach mainly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I get this question a lot. I'm glad you asked. So my target audience is people
Who are
who
frustrated, overwhelmed, exhausted because of a situation in their life for which their solutions aren't working. And they've realized they need to do some personal development work to fix it. They're tired of feeling frustrated, feeling miserable, feeling burnt out, experiencing toxic relationships, conflicts at work, etc. And they're ready to do the work to transform their habits, their mindsets, their relationships.
People who want to feel like they're in the driver's seat, like they're actively creating a plan, they're working towards goals, or they're just working towards more peace and more harmony. I think that, you know, it's not like, oh, I, only work with women, or I only work with children, or I only work with this demographic. My target audience is human beings that are motivated and empowered to make changes that will make them healthier, happier, and more fulfilled. And that can come in a variety of forms. It's not, my target audience is not people who want to admire the problem. It is people who want to solve the problem. So if you're down to really get into it and do the work, then this will be a great fit.
Like that. Not admire the problem, but solve the problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put that in a poem.
Give me some credit on that when you do.
Yeah, sure. That's really interesting. So anybody pretty much, as long as they're willing to put in the work, it doesn't matter, no set age or demographic or anything.
No set age or demographic. It's definitely people who want to do the work and who particularly want to do personal development work. So self-reflection, looking at habits, mindsets, relationships. I think there tends to be kind of two pathways in POSA, and I'll kind of break down what those are. So there's people who seek coaching are people that want to do some of that deeper development work. So they've got a lot going on in their life, either like a short-term goal, problem that there is right in front of them, or more of a macro, like, hey, I need to figure some things out. I need to change up my habits. And they're seeing the long game. So they're seeking out coaching as an investment to kind of reprogram themselves and reorganize how they do things and how they approach things. That's more of a long game.
Okay.
I also have people that engage with POSA for more of a time-bound consultation. So this might be like 1 or 2 sessions. They're like, I'm facing this very specific problem. I want, professional support from someone that's not my friend, that's not my neighbor, that doesn't know my business, but I don't need to be with you for 6 months. I do need support right now, and I need support on this very specific thing. That's more of a consultation relationship. But the more ongoing coaching is for people that want to do more of that deep personal development work. And depending on, what work they may have done prior, or how far they want to take it, that could be 5 to 10 sessions. That could be 6 months. It depends on the individual and, what they're seeking to get out of it.
Great, because that was going to be my other question is, how long do you suggest people stay with you, or,
Yeah, so I don't make any super formal recommendations up front, other than like, someone like a couple of people that I've worked with on career stuff. I would recommend like a minimum of 5 to maybe 10 sessions if you're trying to really map a major career transition, because it's the reflection work. It's also let's update the resume, let's look at jobs. That's kind of a more structured thing. I don't have any firm recommendations beyond that, other than if you really want to do coaching work and really change your habits and your ability to navigate not just whatever's happening now, but what's going to happen 2, 3, 5 years from now, that is longer than an hour. So if you're calling for just like a one-off, that's going to help you today, but that's not going to position you for really meaningful change. And I will say, a lot of people that come for consultation end up switching to coaching, because what happens is they realize, like I've realized this for myself too, you think you're dealing with a specific situation, and once you start to unpack, how did I get here, and how am I participating, and what am I maintaining, you realize, wait a minute, there's actually a similar pattern happening at my job. Those boundaries that I don't have with my mom, I also don't have them with my boss, and I also don't have them with my kids. So let me step back, zoom out to see the big picture, really do the personal, mirror work, not window work, and then I can reposition myself to, to handle these things and to feel empowered. Like I want people to leave coaching feeling empowered, like they have a new set of skills and tools that's positioning them, for what they have going down the road. And then some people, they start out with consultation. They're like, no, wait a minute, I need coaching. And then we go through the coach cycle, and they may call me back 6 months or a year from now, like, I need a refresh. I need a one-off consultation, but we've already done the work to set the foundation, So I think that's a little bit of the distinction and how people find their way to me.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you mentioned too, like, well, I'm guessing like are there any main differences in, what you would do as a psychologist versus somebody who you would see as coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, there are some differences. I would say the biggest difference is in the content of what you're talking about more than the process. There are some process differences, there are definitely some technique differences, but the biggest difference is in the content. And the reason I say that is because although I have worked as a psychologist, the focus of coaching is not on trauma work, abuse, neglect, abandonment, deep-seated issues of family of origin. That is not for coaching, that is for therapy. So individuals for whom that's an area of need, I have actually referred several people
Yeah.
that wanted to work with me to therapy because I know that process works and I believe in it. So that's like one big content difference. Then there's some things that are overlap. So when you're working with people around like, negative mindsets or their patterns or their habits or how they seek relationships, that's a content area that could kind of be in either one. It depends on, the nature of their needs and what they might need. But I think that what is similar about the two is like the techniques. So you're in both cases, like I leverage a lot of my training as a psychologist to inform how I approach coaching because of things like building rapport with someone that you're working with, using, open-ended questions to understand, reflection, decision making, reframing. There's a lot of techniques that are non-clinical that are just good human skills to have that
Yeah.
can help guide a coaching process that I might have used in therapy, but in therapy I was using it to process a trauma. And here we're using it to evaluate your use of time and how you allocate your resources.
Right. No, and I'm glad you said that because I think that's a huge distinction, for people who are trying to have some, like you mentioned, trauma issues resolved. That's something that you would refer them for therapy or they should look at therapy for. But, setting boundaries, I love that example too. Maybe something, because I think that's a huge thing that a lot of adults don't know how to do. And I'm glad you mentioned too, like boundaries at work or boundaries at home and stuff, and how those kind of can spill into some issues and things of that nature. So
Absolutely. For anyone who's listening that's on Instagram, I've been doing a whole series on boundaries for the past few weeks with a lot of content, and people are reaching out to me like, "You got to talk about this. You got to talk about that." And then they're like, "Well, my so and so doesn't have a boundary," and it's like, "Hold on, let's mirror work, not window work. What are you working on?" So yeah, boundaries are a huge hot topic, and there are a lot of opportunities to explore that either in coaching or therapy, depending on what your needs are. So
yeah. So in building this from scratch, I guess,
yeah.
coming up with this by yourself, because there is no like other poster that
No.
you're the only one, the original, the one and only,
That's
so
it.
I guess the first question, or two-part question is, what was the hardest part in creating this? And then I guess what the second part is what's the most fulfilling part?
So I think that the hardest part is, and here I'm going to model a lot of what happens in coaching, honestly, is the belief and like the willingness to take a risk and believe in yourself and really put yourself out there. So I've always had side hustles and like jobs on the side that were sort of passion projects or supplemental income, but I've never fully bet on myself in a professional space. So and when you are starting your own thing, especially in a service related business like this, where it's very personal and very relational, you're really putting yourself out there. So you're hoping and you believe like, I believe that what I'm offering is of value to people and is of service, but you have to hope that other people believe that too. And it can be, there's a lot of vulnerability that is involved in doing that. And so I think, I grew up with kind of a mindset of like, you go to your job, you work your job, you put your head down, you keep a secure job because it pays your bills and that's it. The thought of being entrepreneurial and betting on yourself or starting your own thing was just not, honestly, was not in my sphere of thinking at all. And so in addition to a lot of logistical challenges of I still have a 9 to 5 and I'm single parenting a small child, the biggest challenge is definitely, the need to be vulnerable. But what I have learned in so many past situations and what I work on with people in coaching is like, growth is always on the other side of discomfort. There is no path towards evolution without discomfort. And if I really want to achieve these things, like if I want to be able to work fully for myself one day, if I want to have a, a service-oriented business where I get to be autonomous and flexible, I have to do the work. And there's starts and there's stops and there's successes and disappointments. And it's like the only real failure is quitting. So if I can continue to be persistent and do that, then, like that's the path forward. So I think that's definitely been the most difficult, is just, having the confidence to pursue something that you're passionate about and hope that it resonates with people, because it's just so personal.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And you've been dropping a lot of gems here today too. Hope everybody out there is listening to this. For sure. And I get in the most fulfilling part.
I think the most fulfilling part is that I'm doing it even though it's scary. That's the most fulfilling part for me and what I'm getting out of it. I'm modeling for my daughter, like, you can do hard things, you can take risks, you can put yourself out there and pursue your dreams without a roadmap, like you get to decide. That really encourages me. And I think that the most fulfilling thing externally is working with people and seeing, like, giving them back to themselves in a way, like helping them to eliminate the obstacles and seeing how they are liberated and more confident. And it doesn't mean they're never going to experience challenges. I don't want to misrepresent coaching as like silver bullet. That's it. That's totally unreasonable in any context. But to see people light up, to see people take charge, to see people take the initiative, and then to see their confidence when they do it, like that is so fulfilling. And it's just such an empowering and exciting opportunity to serve that I hope I continue to have in the future.
Yeah. No, and that's wonderful. And I can definitely tell, that you're passionate about it, obviously, but, just in talking to you, sometimes that's a big thing, is having somebody that believes in what they're trying to teach you and that's really passionate and cares about people. And so that's definitely a great trait to have.
Thank you.
So usually, this part of the show I call is like, how poetically correct are you? And I kind of put
Okay.
So I guess the thing that I want to put you on the spot is, can you tell us about a particular person, and you don't have to say the name, but somebody who, came to Posa, you work with, and was kind of a success story?
Sure. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to do no names. So we'll call her Elizabeth. That's my name. So that'll be our cover. But Elizabeth, like, I just light up when I think about her, because she is living a life that she could not have even dreamed before, because of the work that she did with herself. And one of the reasons why I want to talk about this, and a point that I want to make, is like, the coach is not the expert. So I do not have all the answers in people's lives, and coaching is not advice giving. So coaching is a structured process to help you, but the person seeking coaching is the one doing the work. So in this case, Elizabeth, I was guiding and I was providing structured support, but she was really doing the work. So I met her at a time, or she came to me at a time in her life where she was experiencing a lot of transition. So she had recently exited a long-term romantic relationship. She was thinking about relocating. She was thinking about pursuing a new career. She just felt like stuck. Like, there wasn't any huge major problem. There wasn't any like immediate, this thing is on fire type of situation, but she was overwhelmed and she felt stuck. She felt like I'm just not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. There has to be more to this. And so we worked together to help her to kind of map, starting with just like, okay, you have all these different things that you want to change. You have a few ideas about why you're not happy, but like, let's do some deeper reflection work to first be like, how did I get here? How did I get into a situation where I feel unfulfilled at work, not happy with my friendships, I want to move? Like, what is actually the true root cause here? And what is the common denominator across these situations? And then we're coming up with a plan for like, okay, and what are the most pressing issues? So in her case, one of the common denominators was honestly like a lack of confidence and kind of like a conflict avoidance style, like feeling like she couldn't speak up for herself. She couldn't, have difficult conversations. And so as a result, she was in relationships and jobs and situations where it just felt like she wasn't happy and fulfilled because she was living small. Like she wasn't fully showing up in the space. And this was happening across, multiple environments. And so because it was happening in multiple places, it was compounding. And it was like, I just can't win. So we had to do some mindset, a lot of reflection work, a lot of mindset work. Why do you think that? Why do you think you can't speak back to that person? Why do you think you are not worthy of, communicating what you need? Why do you feel like you need to stay in that job? Is that you actually have evidence to support that? Or is that just the story that you're telling? So it was a lot of mindset work, a lot of habit work, definitely had to do a cleansing of relationships to put it one way, so not everyone can go where you're going. And then once we did some of that, like internal reflection, reassessing, then it was like, okay, so what are we going to do about this? And so she worked to figure out, I might have these 3-4 things going on, but this is actually my number one priority. And here's where I need to start. Came up with an intervention plan, did the work, and progress in that case, because I want to level set here, progress is gradual. So from the time that I met her, she was not like living her best life and, balling on the internet 2 months later. Like it takes time. It takes time to develop and grow, but it happened. And so over time, she ended up changing jobs and found herself in a better situation where she had more autonomy. Once she got the job settled, she decided that was the first priority. So once she got the job settled, then she could figure out the other pieces because she had a little bit more money. She had a more stable schedule. You have to do the things. What she was doing is what people need to do. You have to figure out what is going to work for you and create the structure, because otherwise you're like in recovery mode constantly and not actually leading, So she did the work, and she restructured her work situation. She restructured her social engagement. She built new habits. She built new skills. And there's still stuff that she's working on, but she is like thriving and she's so much happier. She's in healthier relationships. She's empowered. And the biggest reason why I feel like she is a success story is because of the tools and the skills that she has and the confidence. It's not about like, oh, I have this checklist and then I'm going to be happy, because that's an illusion anyway. Because once we get the thing that we thought was going to make us so happy and we're still not happy, we realize, oh, that was an illusion. Now what the heck am I supposed to do? Right. So what she gained was confidence. What she gained was social and emotional skills. What she gained was the ability to make a plan and the confidence that she could actually execute a plan. And that has just set her up to be so successful. And it's a privilege when people will let you into their space to do this work with them. And I don't take that lightly. And it's been an incredible privilege to watch her continue to soar. And it's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is amazing. And how long do you think it kind of took from, I know you were saying like the progress is gradual, but how long had she been working with you?
So we worked together pretty closely for, I would say, a solid, probably like 9 months to a year. Okay. And there was more frequent engagements up front, and then it would be like longer. And so a lot of what I like to do in coaching and what people have said works well for them is that there's like homework in between and experimentation in between, and then we come back. Because if you're just doing like a talk situation, like it's not talk therapy because it's coaching, but like if all we're doing is talking to each other, like, okay, that's a good starting point, but people need to practice these things, right? They need to get out there. They need to speak, they need to set a boundary with their job and then come back and be like, okay, how did that go? And what are we going to do next? And so what we did was more intensive work, or more frequent work, I should say, up front. And then we would like pace it out, and she would go try some things, come back, go try some things and come back. And so I would say in total, yeah, like probably 9 months to a year. And that was on the longer side. But like I said, she was dealing with multiple things. And that was like a really intensive coaching process. I worked with someone else around their parenting, and it was like a month, so it just depends on what people need. Yeah.
That's a terrific story, and congratulations to the Elizabeth that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how Posa are you? How poetically correct are you?
That's right.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that example.
Yes. You're welcome.
So I guess as we close up, tell everybody how they can find you and how they can, sign up, or how they can, get this started if they want to put into work and be a better person.
Awesome. So 2 main ways to get connected. My website is www.posa-coaching.com, and on Instagram. So I am on other socials. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook, but the most active on Instagram. It's at Posa_coaching on Instagram, and I have lots of content on there, videos. You can get a sense of kind of my style, some of the things that I talk about. Same with the website, but I think social media is a little more accessible for people. So definitely look for me there. And then you can set up a free discovery call. So I don't want people to feel pressured to choose coaching. I don't want people to feel like they're getting tricked into like, oh my God, I got to spend all this money. One of the huge benefits of coaching is ease of access. You're not waiting 3 months for an appointment. You're not dealing with insurance. You're not going through all these loopholes to get there. It's like you come to my IG page, send me a DM, we can set up a discovery call. So it's free. We do calls because I want to make sure it's a fit. I want to be honest about what people can expect, and I want to give them the space to decide, and they can ask questions. So either my website or Instagram are probably the best places to start.
Okay, great. So y'all heard it, everybody, and I think this is a great opportunity because I think everybody can, have some self-development. We all are trying to grow every day. I think that's kind of the goal, and help other people. And it sounds like you're on your way to helping people find better meaning in their life. And hopefully others can take advantage of this too. So it's been a pleasure and privilege and honor and all of that, Elizabeth, to have you on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you. The pleasure has been mine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that I'll have your link to the website below in the comments, and people can click it from there. So thank you, everybody else, for watching the Poetically Correct channel, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. Stay safe.